Hey guys, give me a minute. I'm gonna pull Jenny in here. Um, I gotta wait till she joins. All right, Jenny, get on here. Oh. Okay, Jenny, I'm live. Where are you? There she is, I bet. Viewers. Maybe not. Oh, goodness. Well, obviously, Jenny and I are not together today. Okay, let's see if I can invite her. Okay, Jenny, how do I? There you are. Okay, let's add. I'm trying to add you. Hey.
Hey.
Hey. And I can
hear.
Okay.
I can hear you too.
That's always.
You are breaking up a little bit when you talk on my end, but am I doing the same thing?
Yeah. We need somebody on here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. On my computer. See, I can hear my.
Maybe that's part of it.
Okay. Yeah.
It's repeating back. It's what?
Like I can hear myself. Like
Echoing on your end?
It's still echoing on mine.
Ew.
So hang on, I'm getting somebody just popped. Tell us how we whoever the song.
Hi, Christina.
Okay.
Tell us if you can hear us. Hi, Melissa. Hey, Sarah.
How are you seeing all of them?
They're my friends, and they probably aren't yours, so I can see them.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably why. Am I sounding? We do sound okay, Melissa? Hi, Maggie.
Okay.
We do sound good. Maggie hears us. Do you guys hear an echo or anything? Is the sound okay for both of us? Okay.
Alrighty.
Maggie said she hears us.
Okay. Well, I had started to say that obviously we're not together at school because Academy Learning and yesterday. So that's why you did have to go.
Yeah, I was at the CEC convention the past couple of days on Wednesday and Thursday. So the Council for Exceptional Children had their international convention in Indianapolis. So that's where I was, and I did some volunteering down there. And this morning, I actually spent this morning at the State House lobbying some of our legislators about the topic we're going to talk about in February. So we're going to be talking about all things preschool in February. So, hi, Bonnie. So, hi, Melinda. So we are wrapping up our theme for January, which was trauma-informed education in the trauma-informed classroom. And our topic for tonight is teacher self-care. Okay, so this isn't about the kids as much tonight as it's about what teachers need to do when they're dealing with students who have experienced adverse childhood experiences which have caused trauma in their lives. So,
but in all honesty, a lot of these that we are going to talk are just going to be an important part of any teacher.
Yes. Yeah.
But
right.
Especially with kids who come from.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess where we want to start tonight is just talking about those emotional aspects of teaching. So I don't know, did you want to kind of, because you're in the classroom right now. I'm not. I'm an administrator. I mean, I come into classrooms and I work with teachers with their kids, but I'm not in the classroom now. I've been in the classroom. I know what that's like, but you're doing it right now.
Yes.
So why don't you talk a little bit about that, Beth?
Well, when we were about this, I two different stressors, or there's two different that you become emotional about you know their background and or what's happening right then. You're a part of the like trying to make a difference. Are you needing to work with a social worker? That's something that you know. Okay. Maggie.
Yeah, Maggie said she can't hear you. You're breaking up.
Okay. Well, do you
want
to
get
off?
Get on for a second, and then you can invite me back in.
Or do you want to get on?
No, I think we better just keep it rolling since we've got so many people on here. Let me just pop off for a second, let you talk about this, and I'll watch, and then I'll pop back in when we start talking about vicarious trauma.
Okay.
All right. So I'll see if I can figure out how to do that. Or you might have to.
I don't know if I can kick you off. I can't.
Okay. Well, that wasn't it. Maybe I just clicked the X in the corner. I'm so worried it's going to shut all of us off. It can't, though, because you went live, right?
Yes.
All right. I'm just going to, yes.
Okay. Maggie, can you hear me now? Am I sounding okay? Or I guess anybody, are you able to hear me without Jenny? Okay. All right. Well, hopefully it works when she comes back on. Okay. What I was saying is that there are two different types of kind of stressors that a teacher thinks about or has put on her if she does have a student who comes from trauma in her classroom. Okay, so the one of them being is just the stressor of knowing where that child has come from, whether they had this, when we talked about trauma, knowing what caused the trauma possibly like previously in their life or in utero, but also maybe the trauma is happening right now and you're a part of, trying to get that taken care of. So that is right. That is a stressor for the teacher, but also another stressor put along with that is that it's your job, as this child's teacher, and whether you're a gen ed teacher or a special ed teacher, I mean, you are going to be a part of this process of teaching this child how to cope. You're teaching them coping strategies. You're working on building that relationship. So, and that can be a really big stressor too, because along with that comes, am I being successful? Do I feel like as teachers, we often, if it's not successful, then we feel like we're failing our students, and we take that on ourselves. And so you're dealing with both of those things, and they are both incredibly, obviously important, and but also very different. And so it is very important as a teacher to know what you can do to help yourself, because chances are this, child isn't going anywhere. And the fact the students with trauma are becoming more and more prevalent in your classroom. So this is going to continue year after year, and you may actually get more than one student in your classroom. So it is so, so important to know how to go about, taking care of yourself, because, it's just like, what do they say? Like in the airplane, you need to put the mask on yourself before you can help, your child next to you or whatever. That's the same thing. You as a teacher have to take care of yourself in order to be able to help take care of your students. And so, like I said, those two stressors are, I think, the main, the two, or I guess that's the way I want to look at just that emotional aspect of teaching. And and I think we've all been there. We all have those stories that, haunt us from our previous students or current students, or, if you guys have been teaching for any length of time, then you know that um, those just always stick with you. So, well, now, Jenny, do you want to try to hop back on and see how it goes? We're going to talk about oh, I can't add you because you left. So, are you okay? I approve you, Jenny.
I'm back.
Okay.
Oh, you're still doing it. You're still breaking up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and talk about this next part.
Okay.
Hi, everybody that joined while I was popped off there for a minute so everyone could hear Betsy better. I'm sorry about these technical difficulties. I don't know what's going on. It didn't work for me yesterday when I did a live in a different event. So that's just really strange. But so what Betsy was talking about is what happens to a teacher when you can't compartmentalize the trauma that your students are experiencing and your work versus not work, is what it's an actual scientific term. The what they say, the American Counseling Association calls it vicarious trauma or compassion fatigue, that teachers can build up and have. So they actually are constantly thinking about it. Yes, Angel, I see your comment. They're thinking about what can I do more? They take that on themselves, like Betsy was saying. What could I do more to, show this child love? What can I do to help him feel safe and secure in my classroom? Those kinds of things, they take all of that on themselves. And what ends up happening is it actually can physically change their brain chemistry to where more cortisol will build up inside a teacher's brain. And then guess what happens to them? They can start having trouble sleeping, having eating issues. They can get irritable. There's like all kinds of stuff that we were looking at. They isolate themselves from other people. They aren't doing the things they used to enjoy anymore. That's when teacher burnout starts to happen, is when you take on all that, you additionally add that stress. That cortisol buildup is stressful, and then it actually affects you physically and spiritually and emotionally. So the self-care aspect of working with kids in trauma, whatever your profession is, not just teaching, but if you work in any type of profession where you're working with kids who've had adverse childhood experiences, you need to do self-care. So yes, sensory issues arise. Absolutely. Thank you for that, for sure. Definitely jump in, guys, with comments like this. This is what we want. This is a conversation, not just us preaching. So definitely jump in. Show us what you know about this. Maybe you know something we don't, and that's great. So definitely, we love that. And then let's even talk about this, because this is something that was new to me and doing all of this research. I didn't have a lot of adverse childhood experiences, and I know Betsy didn't really either as a child. So this never even crossed my mind until I read about it. And then I was like, what? That teachers who had adverse childhood experiences or experienced trauma as a child, let's say they had abuse or neglect in their life somewhere, or multiple times, then they can be triggered by the trauma of their students. And then I was just like, OMG, like I never even thought about it like that. Because that didn't happen to me, and I don't have that world. I mean, that's not what my experience is. That didn't even cross my mind. So that one just kind of blew my mind a little bit, that, you know, helping a child in your classroom that maybe experienced something similar to what you experienced could trigger those thoughts and feelings and things coming back in and really cause fear and stress in your life. So like I said, that's another issue that has arisen for teachers that experience those ACEs that happened. So yeah, that one just kind of like, wow. So there are things we can do though, and there are suggestions that the research out there says really work for people. So, all right, am I gonna have to pop off again? This sucks.
You guys hear me?
No, if I can, I don't think they can.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No, because you break up every other word on my end. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop off again, guys. I'll be back. I'll be back. So I'm gonna pop off again. Why don't you talk about the first three?
Okay.
And then I'll talk about the last three, and then we'll kind of close out. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm popping off one more time.
All right. Okay. So we're going to talk about, like, what as a teacher you can do to help with your own mental health, how you can get through these, especially when you have those certain days that are a lot, you know, you have the days that maybe an incident occurred, and so you yourself are just, you need some help de-stressing, and you just definitely need to have a person that you can talk to about that. And Jenny is that person for me, most definitely. And also sorry, my back is itching. This is an odd, that was an odd angle. But definitely have, like I said, the person you can talk to, and it is going to be extremely helpful for that person to be able to give you the time that you need. Jenny knows that I might just, and I'll often say to her, I need to vent. And so, because Jenny is my special ed director, she is often ready to come with a solution to a problem. And often I don't need that. I just need to vent. I just need to kind of rehash the day or explain, or just, you know, kind of just talk it out myself, and I just need somebody to listen. And so that is, yes, hashtag my person. And we actually have a lot of phone because we work together, but at the same time, we don't see each other very often at all. So we do a lot of phone calls on the way home to kind of talk things out. And another thing is, guys, mental health days are a real thing. Sometimes you need just to take that time, one, to step away from the situation. You need a break from that situation, because again, in order to be the best teacher you can be for your students, you need to be capable of, you know, maintaining the teacherness, I guess, the professional, and that you just need, like, and in order, that was a horrible way of explaining that, but sometimes you just need that mental health day. You just need a day to take a break from school and focus on you. I am horrible. I'm horrible at this. I just have a really hard time leaving my students. My paras are fantastic, but I just am not one to take days off of school. And that's why I have 85 sick days. But comes a time and a place where that is very, very needed. Um, and then another kind of that goes along with the having someone you can talk it out with is reducing that professional isolation. And this could really come up when you are in a smaller school district. At one point in time, I was the only special ed teacher. There was preschool, but in my building. And so now there are more of us. There are 3, 4, if you want to, if our speech therapist. But sometimes it can be hard to have someone to chat with that understands truly what your day could be like. So you need to find, if you can't find that within your school district, you can find like a group online, a professional group, or maybe even like I'm a part of some Facebook groups, some more professional Facebook groups online. Jenny, we were talking about this earlier, and there was a high school, and Jenny, type it in, I guess, if I'm missing pieces and parts of this, but there was a high school that has a monthly wellness group. I think that they kind of got together and talked about like strategies and make goals maybe and things that for their staff. And I think it included all staff with this. So, and you know, if your school doesn't do that, maybe make one for your group. You know, everybody kind of has their group that they go to at school. Another school did a use staff in service time to emphasize exercise or like other hobbies, like that they could do those things during that staff in service time. And then Jenny and I didn't have that, but we have exercised with some friends. Okay, the whole staff. Okay. But Jenny and I have exercised with some friends or some colleagues at school. We have walked when it was nice out. Obviously not this week. We have walked just kind of around the neighborhood where our school is, but we've also just gone on YouTube in my classroom and done different workout videos. And it's just been, you know, it's nice to do that with each other after school. And sometimes maybe we don't talk about the day. Sometimes we do, but that just in itself, being there with each other and for each other. Hey, Jen, is another great way to help. And again, you're building your relationships. Like we talked about building relationships with your students. You need to build that relationship with your with some colleagues and with some people that understand what you're going through as a teacher with these students who have had trauma. All right, Jenny, you want to pop on back in? Because like I said, it didn't let me add you before. No. So if you guys are just hopping on, we're having technical difficulties, and it's not wanting to let you hear me when Jenny hops on. So she has to hop off while I'm talking, and then she'll hop back on for her turn. And she's going to be finishing up what we're discussing. And guys, trauma is something, I guess maybe I feel passionate about everything we've talked about, because next month I'm very passionate about that topic, but it's just becoming a bigger and bigger issue in our schools. So I think the self-care for the school staff who is, you know, helping our students through this. Okay, here she comes. Helping our students through this is extremely important. Here she is.
Oh. Yeah, it made me get all the way out and come all the way back in order to ask again. Apparently you can't do that multiple times in a live. Can you hear me? No. So now you guys, if Betsy talk for a second, this is what it was happening when I was on. So, I mean, if she says something, it sounds like you can only hear every third word. So that kind of sucks because we like being on together and being able to play off of each other. So back to our ways to, my notes back up here again, it went black on me. Our ways to help teachers cope. One thing is to just really have a plan in place. Like this can be something you do either as a staff or just talking with each teacher when you do your meetings with them, or staff can just plan this for themselves if they don't have a support system that helps with this. But just having a plan in place. What are my coping strategies in the classroom if I get stressed or frustrated or angry, or I just need a break? How do I take a break in my classroom, especially if I'm, if it's just me and a para, or if it's, how do we have a break? Who are our go-to people we can grab if needed? We all have that strategy for if we have to pee. I'm just saying. There's somebody that covers if that happens. I mean, it doesn't happen often because we have ridiculous bladders as teachers, but we need to have that too for what if I just need a break. I remember as a teacher myself, if I had that student that was just on my last nerve, I had an agreement with my principal that sometimes I would say, okay, so if I need a break from a kiddo and I just need him to not be in my eyesight for a few minutes, I'm going to just hand him a pass. He's going to come to the office, and if he has this particular pass, he's not in trouble. He just is going to sit down there for 5 minutes, and then he can come back. And that worked for me, to just not him. I can breathe. I can refocus. I have a few minutes, and then he can come back to my classroom, because it wasn't about him not being in my classroom. I want him in my classroom. He's an important part of my classroom. But I need a break to get myself. You keep getting kicked out? Angel said she keeps getting kicked out. Oh. Yeah, Betsy says she's definitely come to have me come down for a minute. And that's what you need to do. Those are healthy things to have a plan for, that coping strategy. And if, like I said, if you need a minute, there are resources in your school that can help you with that. Reach out to nurses, reach out to secretaries, whoever, custodians even. I mean, some of them are really supportive. So especially if they're nice to them, be nice to custodians. It's important. It's important. So the next thing then is, anytime there is a stressful situation, definitely debrief after that with somebody. So I was thinking just about how, if we do have like a student that has to be put in a restraint as a last resort, we have a protocol for that we meet as a team to debrief and talk about how that happened, what led up to it, did we do a good job with it? Was the restraint something that needed to happen? And if so, how are we developing that therapeutic rapport with that kid afterwards? How are we building that relationship back up? Because that's a stressful thing. So yeah, yes, we will have more buddy rooms when our buildings merge. That'd be great, Angel, won't it? But making sure that there's a debriefing session. So then I was thinking about bigger things. So like, what if you have an incident in your school? Like, my heart just like leapt out of my chest for Noblesville and Richmond this year after that. So we always, having that way to debrief after a stressful situation. What if there is one time you have to evacuate your classroom for some reason? What if there is a lockdown situation? Or what if, these are traumatic things that could happen in school, and you want to debrief not only with your kids, but maybe as a staff, and talk about how do we feel about that. We need to get our staff talking more about how they feel in different situations. Are you comfortable with what's happening with our protocols for safety? What questions do you still have? What holes do we still need to fill? We have school safety people that handle the big overall arching picture, but sometimes teachers need to make their voice heard, and they don't always have an opportunity to do that. So starting to talk with other teachers about, what makes us feel safe here? What times do we not know a plan? I know some high schools have done some professional development. I think ours did even, where they like, what would happen if we had a lockdown situation when kids were in the cafeteria? What would happen if we had a lockdown situation while kids were outside? You know, those kinds of situations, you know, that would come up. And, you know, we can't plan for everything, but it does help ease our stress and ease our mind if we know there is a plan. So that's, but debriefing is really huge after a stressful situation that happens. Even if a child gets hurt or something like that, which God forbid that happens, but if the child gets hurt at school or something and it's a stressful situation, and we need to debrief that. And then have a plan for what's my routine when I come home so that I leave the trauma stuff at work. I think after 20 plus, I'm just gonna say 20 plus because that way I don't have to ever change it. 20 plus years in education, I feel like I've done a really nice job at this point of compartmentalizing. Here is what I think about while I'm at work. When I get home, these are the things I'm thinking about now. And, you know, because those things will creep in, you know, especially those of you who have kids, you put the kids to bed. And now those thoughts start, because you're not, mind isn't busy dealing with family and dealing, you know, you have that time where your brain wanders. So it's always nice to have some things that you can do to fill that time that are enjoyable for you and are de-stressors. So if you have that me time, everybody needs a little me time, a little bit. I mean, that is such a big deal with wellness. Even if it's just 15 minutes, a book you want to read, a TV show you want to watch, whatever. But have that enjoyable thing to fill those times when those thoughts about school might creep in while you're at home. And I'm not saying never think about like teaching fun ideas and stuff like that, but don't dwell on the trauma stuff when you're at home because that's not healthy for you. So that is a biggie. So that was really all we had for you guys today on teacher self-care, but which is so important. So if you have more questions, definitely put them in the comments. If you have ideas or things that you do, we would love to see your ideas for how do you handle your stress surrounding kids with trauma at school, or even just stress in general of teaching. What things do you like to do? And yeah, you can put drink wine. We do it. It's fine. But we, like I said, we just want people to take care of themselves. We want to help with the wellness aspect. And yeah, so super excited about preschool next month. Aren't you, Betsy?
Yes.
Yes. I heard that. And I know this is like her favorite time. Early childhood stuff is like her favorite. So we're about to get super nerdy on the preschool. And the other piece we're going to talk about is the legislation surrounding preschool special education. That is
That's
super nerdy me. Like I said, I was down at the State House today lobbying for increased spending for preschool special ed. So we're going to talk about that in our budget bill. In fact, I may be doing some posts about that in the interim. So watch for that. But it's something we all need to care about here in Indiana. And if you're not in Indiana and you're watching, we love that, you know, hope that you could check out what's going on with that in your state and see if they're doing a better job than we are. So anyway, that's it for the tall and the short of it this week. We love you guys. And let us know if you like us going live later like this, and if this is better for you than us doing it right after school. I mean, obviously, we'll try to do it together at some point. You know, maybe we can do it a little later than right after school, or maybe a Sunday afternoon where we can actually get together and do it so we don't have these technical difficulties. But maybe I'll try to do some research and figure out why this is happening. Maybe it's something simple we just don't know about. So we're working on it. That's it for the tall and the short of it. Bye-bye.